So, you're probably wondering why I've gathered you all here today. I don't think I could have come up with a dumber intro. You know, we all know my wonderful, lovingly moth shoe, who I put so much time and energy into, who I think is the greatest thing. And I was thinking, is there any way to one-up that? The answer is no. There is no way. Moth shoe is peak. However, what other things could I potentially turn into Mothman? And I was thinking about it, and I came up with a great idea. Xenithrax. Is it a moth? Is it a man? We'll figure it out. Either way, today I am going to be painting Xenithrax and turning her into something wonderful and amazing. Mothman. So, starting first, I've already gone ahead and primed all of her pieces. Now, normally I would do a zenithal prime on basically anything. However, it is currently 32 degrees outside, and our airbrush studio is in the garage. I hope you can do math. So instead of that, I just brush primed dear Zenny Poo here. And I went ahead and I took just some white paint and did a dry brush across the top of everything. And this was for a number of reasons. One, it's so that I can see the details. Honestly, like I was dry brushing this and finding things that I hadn't seen, because I have a hard time when everything has all been primed one color to see stuff. And number two, the black paint that I will be using is from the same brand as the primer, and Pro Acryl color matches. They are, paints to primers, which is great. But it's just a way for me to know that I've kind of painted everything. Especially because we're gonna start with just a full black coat across the board. And you may be thinking, Ro, that sounds like it's gonna be so entertaining. Am I gonna get to see all of that? No, I'm just gonna paint it all black, and then we'll get to the fun part, which is the details. So here we go. The thing that I hate most about painting is setting up the wet palette, and I am horrible at it. Absolutely horrid at it. So if you see something that looks weird in my wet palette, no, you don't. My paint of choice is the Monument Pro Acryl. The guy that taught me how to paint had a really good relationship with this company, and he loved this company, and then he sold me on it, and I have loved this paint brand ever since. I also will sometimes mix in some army painters, specifically their speed paints. I love their speed paints. But only in like specific situations. And then sometimes I'll use cuttlefish paints, which are super, super fun. They are very thin, super bright. Like, they have the pigment, but they're very, very thin, if that makes sense. So I'll typically use them as a topper. But most of the time I stick entirely to Monument because I really like the matte look that I get from them. Oh, first disclaimer, this is not a tutorial. I mean, if you want to turn Xenithrax into Mothman and want to have an idea of what I did with, Moth Shoe, sure, go ahead and follow on, but like, I am not the smartest person when it comes to painting. Like, I don't know everything. So if you're looking for proper techniques, I don't think this is the way to go, but if, you want to have more Mothman characters, you can see how I did mine and maybe do some too. I am 100% supportive. If you want to turn any of your figures into Mothman, do it. And then please send me photos. I want to see the photos. Okay. I feel like I spent so much time getting all of this white on here just to, whoop, you're gone again. So sometimes I find I have to use multiple coats with the Pro Acryl, but when I'm doing something that's the black over the black primer, this is why I enjoy that they're color matched. I find I don't always have to do the multiple coats. I can do the one, I cover up that zenithal prime, or in this case, the white paint, and then I feel in my head that it's covered and we're good. It's good enough for me to continue on. Is that the correct way? Another one of the things that I absolutely love about monument paint is I can see when it's dry. I have a hard time with other paints, you know, army paint or specifically cuttlefish. I have a hard time telling when they're dry and end up, you know, making mistakes and rushing over things and having to repaint because I'm impatient. But with monument, it dries down so matte. I know when it's dry. You know, I know what you're thinking. Golly, this is the most entertaining video I've ever seen, painting a figure black. Woo! But I'm gonna save you some boredom or take away some of your fun and just skip to the next part. And I'm back. I promise you didn't miss anything while I was doing that. There's just so many details. I never know the order in which to paint things. Is that white or is that just a shine? Get into the crevasses. Why didn't you prime the base of Xenithrax? I don't know. It's not something I thought of until literally this moment. Soaring, flying, there's not a star in heaven that we can't reach. If we're trying, then we're breaking free. Yeah, we're breaking free. You want to play, I'm a puppeteer. No, I don't play, I puppeteer. No, 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 no. Stick to the stuff you know. Ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. Die in the blood where you bathe. So I figured that I would go ahead and start with the wings because, to be perfectly honest, it's the only part that I know without a doubt what I'm doing on them. So just as a general rule, I don't like, you know, highlighting black to like gray or white. So on Moth's shoe, I did it with blue and I thought she turned out really, really well. I thought it would be fun if for Xenithrax, you know, kind of paying a little bit of an homage to her official coloring and doing that with purple. So, super excited for that. It's a dark purple. And my plan is to, you know, slowly lighten the black with this dark purple. We'll see how this goes. And if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, we just paint over it. Greatest advice a art teacher ever gave me. It's just paint. Paint over it. And honestly, I've lived by that ever since. So I kind of have an idea of what I'm wanting to do here. Because I don't want it to be all plain black. That's a given. So I'm just gonna play with it and see where it goes from there. So this is just a little bit of that purple mixed in with this, like just a little bit of the black. So it's only going to be a little bit lighter than what we're messing with right here. Also been toying with the idea of just picking out some random feathers to be lighter colors, just randomly throughout. I haven't decided yet. Right now I'm just going across the top of some of these feathers with this slightly lighter than black color. Honestly, the detail work is some of my favorite work. I just get so into it, you know, like all of the different things that I can do to make things stand out in both big and subtle ways. So on these larger feathers, I'm taking that same slightly purplish black and just going down the very center ridge of these feathers. I have painted many a Mothman and turned many a thing into Mothman in my time of painting. But this is the first time I'm doing it with purple instead of blue. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. Plans aren't normally my thing. I just kind of go in with an idea and see if we get there. I like to move very slowly and highlight very, very slowly. It's just step by step, barely lightening the color just a little bit in between. I like the look that it creates. But it is also, in my opinion, also very tedious. I'm just gonna kind of go and do the same idea on these spines, thorns, whatever you want to call them. It's a little bit of that barely light purple, or barely lighter black. It's kind of in the center, not being too careful with it, but also not going too wide. Okay. Now I'm basically going to mix more purple in, lighten it up a little bit more, and then go do it again. I'm not sure how well the camera is, if at all, picking up this. And honestly, like, to me, that's kind of the point, because the figure isn't purple. Like, it's gonna be black. The purple is just to help give a little bit more, you know, dimension to it. So, for me, the difference between dark purple and straight black isn't that big of a difference, and that's the reason that I chose that. Because what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to take it, there's just the straight dark purple, and dry brush over this top bit here, because that's the part that I want to be kind of the brightest. I'm going to leave the rest of the feathers with only that 2-step, and then I'm going to finish this top part off with this dry brush. And then on just the really high, larger spines, am I gonna do one little final highlight again with the straight purple. But only in the like highest spot. So I'm only gonna do 2 of these like that. And to me, that's the back of the wings and feathers. The spine I'll work on later when I figure out what I want to do with the rest of the armor. But again, it is very, very subtle, and to me, that's the point. So I'm gonna go and do basically the same steps on the inside, just only 1 less. So these feathers are only gonna be 1 level of light, and this is gonna be 2 levels of light. And then I'm not gonna worry about the bottom parts of the spines. Just to give it a little bit of a, you know, being able to see it a little more. But not as much as up here, because this is gonna be the brightest spot, obviously. I'm not 100% sure what I want to do with everything else. I have an idea, but we all know where ideas go if you don't do anything about them. But I'm gonna take some time and think a little bit more about what the plan is, and then I'll be back. I've sat on it, I've stewed on it, thought about it, and I think what I'm gonna do, she's got a lot of armor, and I think I'm going to use the dark silver from Monument. I forgot to fill up my cup. And that's why I hate painting the next day sometimes. I'm gonna leave it because I don't care. I am the furthest thing from a professional or even good painter. But here we are. If you're still watching, it certainly isn't for my paint skills. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with her mask here. Yeah, that's the look that I'm going for. It just looks like a metallic-y black. If I end up, you know, actually taking the time to edit and then end up posting this video, it'll be a huge, huge step and like thing for me, because I am so extremely self-conscious about my painting, both like the finished product and the process. Just because like do I use proper technique? No. Do I do things wrong? Absolutely. And I'm just afraid that someone's gonna like call me out on it in a not nice way. I'm also afraid of being proud of something that people think is bad. I have music or a podcast going, but since I'm also kind of talking and commentating on what I'm doing, that doesn't necessarily work. Having to pause the music to say what I was gonna say or whatever is just sucks, but you know, let's go ahead and just do all of the armor on her body. I love that we have the option to have pre-painted models. Because, you know, it's true to the original and stuff. But what I also love is seeing the creativity and skill that everyone has brought. Like, it is, Adam and I weren't super heavy in the community until the announcement was made that it was coming back. Or like officially announcement from Renegade, blah, 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 whatever. So I didn't get to see all of the alt paint jobs and stuff that already existed out there. But like, you guys are awesome. I love doing our community, paint reaction videos just because it's purely selfish. Like, people send me photos of their art and I get to see it. And I love that. I love getting to see something that somebody, worked on, spent time on, cared about. Like, oh, I love that stuff. And then to top it all off, y'all are so talented. And there are so many cool ideas and just fun stuff. And I love this community. We haven't been around in it super long, but we've been so extremely welcomed by everyone we've encountered. So, thanks, y'all. There aren't a lot of places where I feel wholeheartedly welcomed, no questions asked. No exceptions. Like, you are one of us. There aren't a lot of places that I feel that. And I feel that here. So thank you. All of you. If you've left a comment or just watched one of our videos, whether you've taken that time to subscribe or not, thank you for being here. It means the world to us that there are people that want to see what we're making. Ugh. Bro, you're getting all gushy when you're painting a dragon as Mothman. Yeah, well, shush you. I am so bad at keeping it in frame and keeping my head out of frame. Like, this is not a thing that I do. There's a reason I don't do painting videos normally. I really hope people didn't click on this video expecting a full in-depth tutorial, because we don't know that. We don't know her here. This is just me painting and talking to the ether. At the time of recording, it is currently 9:13 at night, and I have just gotten home from play rehearsal where I spent probably the whole time thinking about what I was going to do with this. Don't tell my director. I am really hoping this works out the way that I want it to, and if it doesn't, I will be sad, and then I will put it away for like 3 months and then come back and finish it, because that's who I am as a person. But if you're watching this, that means either it did work out, or you're in for the long haul. And this is footage from over 3 months ago. Honestly, don't know which one I'd do. I have the problem with trying to film is that I'm, have a difficult time seeing, like, seeing things is difficult for me. So then trying to keep it in the frame where people can actually see me painting, but then I can also see it is so hard. Especially when it comes to like little things like this. What's super funny is that I'm like putting in all of this time and effort and energy into a figure that never gets played for us. Like, we rarely ever play with Xenithrax. So she is most likely gonna end up in a cabinet or something, like on display. Or just in the box where we can't see her. You know what? I just enjoy the process of painting, of creating. Is this creating? I don't know. But I love having an idea for something and then watching it happen. Watching it come to life. Is that armor or is that just spines? I'm gonna call it armor. I keep joking about doing a Xenithrax cosplay. It'd be a lot of work, but I think it would be so cool. But I'm also afraid that people would tell me it's dumb. So. Okay, go off, queen. I'm kind of loving this and the way that it's turning out. The heat turned on and is going right now, and if Adam were home, or if he's watching this, it would drive him crazy because he knows it can probably be heard, but it's 23 degrees outside and I'm not turning the heat off or even down to have a quiet video. So if you can hear it, oh well. Remind me to change out the water if I go to paint with something else that isn't metallic, because I almost never remember to. Sometimes I really wish I had a paintbrush that I could bend to the shape I need it to be and wasn't just straight and long. Beautiful. Let's give that a moment to dry while I mess around a little bit with mixing stuff. I worry if the dark purple is too dark for what I want it to do. Because I want to, do the same thing that I did with the wings, but I'm worried that it's too dark and it isn't going to actually brighten it. So maybe I should just use purple. Okay, let's see if this does what I want it to. Basically the same idea as before, just hitting these high spots with this mixture. I'm not gonna do too many yet because I'm not entirely sure if I'm gonna like that. So we're gonna give it a minute to dry so I can look at it. I think I like it. I think I'll keep going. Ah, the joys of having neighbors. I can hear the movie they're watching. I have what I like to call the too much gene, which basically means I don't know when to stop. And that always applies when I start highlighting things. Not everything can be highlighted. That's just how it works. But gosh darn it, I want to highlight everything. It's just so much fun for me, honestly. I'm really hoping this ends up looking as cool as I think it's going to, but I'm not 100% sure. And who knows, maybe it's only cool to me. Now let's find the really, really high points. Then we will call that a day on this part of it, I think. I think I am happy with that armor. Since I have the metallic stuff out already, I'm gonna go ahead and do the armory bits on the other ones, just so that I can get that done and taken care of. Okay, the 2 armory bits are done. So now, I'm going to go change the water, because I'm gonna work on the meaty bits. Is that the right word? The non-armory bits? Things that will not be metallic. Okay, now let's get started on highlighting the body. And again, this is going to start off extremely subtle, and that's kind of my goal. Is to be super, super subtle with it. I don't know why, but like hands. I love highlighting hands, especially like the palm. It's just, I don't know, something about it is super, super satisfying or nice for me. Okay, let's go ahead and move on and lighten it some more. And then second, first, same as the first, just, you know, on the highest points. Nothing too crazy. Honestly, this is some of my favorite work. Edge highlighting, ugh, cannot get enough of it. Now I gotta decide if I wanna go one shade lighter or not. And I'm thinking I do on just a couple of places. Bop-a-bop. I am loving that. I'm gonna put her over here for now, and then I'm gonna work on this bit, which is basically gonna be the same idea as what I just did. So, just, you know, again, it'll just be different because of the shape of all of it. Because I don't think anything underneath is really gonna need any highlighting because it'll be, it wouldn't be highlighted. I think I'm happy with that. And now, no Mothman is ever complete without their glowing red eyes. Now here's the thing. I have found, for me, that trying to get that glowing look is kind of difficult without having to repaint everything else around it. So what I do is start with a speed paint. I know it seems a little silly, but I say trust me, but you are no obligation to do any of that. I have a separate palette over here because I don't like putting washes or speed paints on the wet palette because it just doesn't work out ever. So get it on just barely the tip. And she's got pretty small eyes, and go right into that eye socket with this. And it's okay if it gets, you know, around, just if it's, you know, just gets a little bit around it, because we're kind of attempting to go for a little bit of a glowing effect. Okay. Give that a minute to dry while I get out my red. And this, I'm gonna do my best to get only in that eye socket. But on days when my hands are shaky, it's difficult. They're not as shaky today, it seems, so. That's a 2. I'm gonna grab a 0, 0 for this part to try and just get it right in that socket. And I'm sorry if this isn't going to be able to be seen well by the camera. Like, I'm gonna do my best, but I don't know. For some reason, something about detail work makes my hands shake even more. Woo! I'm probably going to end up fiddle farting around with these eyes a little bit more, but what I will do is probably do, you know, some fun up close, you know, good quality reveal photos of the final product, and put them somewhere up in here. See if I remember to do that. But in any case, if you've made it this long, thanks for hanging out with me. I had a good time. It was real fun. And if you decide to turn anything into Mothman, please send them to me. Please send them to me. I want to see them. All right. And if you want to see us reacting to some of your guys' paint, you can click on this video here. I don't know. It'll be somewhere. Editing Rowan. Put it here.